Fox News alert. Up to 190,000 Russian troops are now believed to be gathered at the border with Ukraine as Russia prepares to invade. While in Munich, Vice President Kamala Harris promises swift and severe consequences on Vladimir Putin if Russia does indeed invade.
Understanding that our work together and our unity is a sign of the strength of our nations individually and collectively. I do believe, I think we all know, our greatest strength is our unity. This is a moment that has made that clear, that our unity is evidence and is a measure of our strength.
Meanwhile, concerns over cyber attacks are mounting in the United States. America's biggest banks meeting with government officials this week to prepare for possible cyber attacks in retaliation from Russia if we hit them with sanctions. Jackie, while everyone is awaiting an attack on Ukraine, the truth is Russia has already attacked Ukraine and occupied parts of it. That happened back in 2014. Now, they gave people in those areas 700,000 Russian passports, claiming them as citizens. And more recently, they've been targeting the country's banks and defense ministry. Tell us about this first advance, if you will, and how the Russians have been preparing for this moment and softening up the Ukrainians.
Well, it's really interesting to see how this unfolded. Of course, in 2014, when they annexed Crimea, Raymond, you're talking about then Vice President Biden and President Obama standing by and essentially allowing it to happen. And so this has been in the works for a while. Then you had President Trump come into office. All of a sudden, Vladimir Putin had a worthy opponent, if you will, somebody who would stand up to him. And he was very well aware of that. President Trump also revolutionized the energy industry in this country because he knew for national security reasons that he had to attack Putin in that way. So I want to break down some of the implications of what's happening here at the moment, what could happen if this administration allows this invasion to move forward. And that's certainly what it looks like at this time. When it comes to oil and gas production, we were producing 13 million barrels a day in this country. We consume 18. So we were taking some in, yes, but we were meeting most of our own needs. Now we're producing 11 million barrels per day. And guess who we're jockeying for the #1 position, the #1 global producer position for with? Russia. And so, of course, you have to look at the global landscape here and understand that these sanctions we talk about, they haven't been imposed because they would be on Russia's oil and gas industry. And not only do we rely on it, but the Europeans rely on it as well. And so we're not in the greatest position as we're dealing with this conflict here. And President Biden is pretty much well aware of that, but let it get to this point. And when you watch Kamala Harris talking about unity, I mean, this is something that they promised us a long time ago. Unity in this country when it came to so many different issues, and they just haven't met that promise. So I don't expect them to meet it here.
It almost sounded as if she was weeping there, you know, Jackie, when she was talking about unity. The implication was bad. Dr. Nicole, the administration is now warning banks here in the U.S. of these potential Russian cyber attacks. This is Ann Neuberger. She's the Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber.
We don't have the level of cyber resilience that we wish. But on the other hand, one should always prepare for any contingencies, and we've been doing so, sharing sensitive information, encouraging private sector owners and operators to do the work they need to do, to lock their digital doors.
Lock their digital doors. Nicole, is this too little too late?
Well, first of all, so it's interesting. The White House is encouraging these private sectors to tighten up their cybersecurity, but it is because of the lack of the response from the federal government that these private entities are becoming victims to the cyberware attacks. While we know that Russia doesn't have the financial or economic and military ability to overpower the United States, their cyber aggression certainly can destabilize a nation and help to get to their larger geopolitical objectives. I mean, we have essentially been tolerant to Russian cyber attacks for nearly 3 decades, beginning in the mid-1990s with the Moonlight Maze, and even as recently as talking about it interfering in the U.S. elections. But it's not just banks. It's not just water companies. What about hospitals? During the pandemic, 1 in 3 healthcare institutions institutions across the globe had some sort of cyber attack costing about $21 billion. Every patient in the ICU requires computers and machines to keep them alive. We are vulnerable to this, and the White House needs to be standing up. They need to be much stronger, not just telling these private sectors to tighten their computer doors, because it is their lack of action that is putting them in this situation.
Tyrus, Kamala Harris was at that Munich conference today, threatening swift response if Russia further invades Ukraine. Speaker Nancy Pelosi was also on hand, making her own threats.
There's a price to pay for what Putin has put us through now. This isn't bully the world and then take a walk and you're off the hook.
Oh, boy. First of all, do Kamala and Pelosi have any credibility here, Tyrus? And more importantly, why are we worrying about a tin pot economy like Russia while ignoring the real bully of the world, China, who seems to be pulling Putin's strings?
Well, not just pulling the strings. I'm sure they have some financial disclosures put together. You know, we have no street credit. We have no credibility. Afghanistan, the way that was handled, rung the dinner bell. Countries everywhere who used to fear the United States are now emboldened. They saw how much the Taliban got for acting a fool, so why wouldn't they? North Korea is testing missiles again. China's doing whatever they want. And Russia has been at the border. If we had any backbone, if we had anything, we would have already, they would never even dreamed of attempting this. But they keep loading up and pushing the line and pushing the line. And we're going to say, we're going to give you sanctions. So we keep telling them what we're going to do. So they're planning for it. I'm sure they're making all kinds of arrangements, because at the end of the day, we just use words like unity, and you don't think they watch the same TV shows that the Americans watch? They look at the United States and be like, unity? You don't even have unity in your own party. You can't get things done because you follow each other into the bathrooms and harass each other and use woke mentality to cancel people. The rest of the world sees this, and they have absolutely no fear of us. And that's why Putin is so emboldened. He's like, sanction me. Go ahead. I dare you. I dare you. And what do? We will. You keep it up. You move one more foot, mister. You know, it's like, it's that old saying. America right now, it says we're giving them an inch. They're taking literally hundreds of miles, and we just draw the line back again.
Well, and Tyrus, the Chinese have already committed $117 million to offset whatever sanctions the United States imposes. So Xi and Putin seem to be working in concert. And if you saw the way Putin was received at the Olympics in Beijing, it's clear these two are making moves. One is going into Ukraine. I wouldn't put money against the other moving against Taiwan very soon. We'll see what happens.
Oh, that's coming, 100%.
Yep.
I believe that. I wouldn't bet against that. I would not bet against that.
No, me neither.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.